Let me start with a simple question. Imagine that I inflate a balloon and leave it on the table. What happens? Slowly, the balloon will shrink and collapse, right? Now, think about your lungs. They are also the soft air filled structures, yet they keep expanding and shrinking thousands of times every day without collapsing. Now, how is that possible? Another interesting question is our lungs are constantly moving against the chest wall. If you rub your hands together continuously, friction will develop, right? So, why doesn't the same thing happen inside our lungs? The answer lies in a unique structure of the lungs and the amazing membrane called the pleura. Today, we will learn how the lungs are designed, how they stay expanded, and why understanding pleura is so important for nurses. So, hello everyone, welcome to Nursing with Priya. Before we start the lecture, let's see the roadmap. First, we will understand about what actually lungs are, their location, lobes, surfaces and borders, helium of the lung. Then we will move to pleura, pleural cavity, and the blood supply of the lungs and pleura. Now, let's understand what the lungs actually are. The lungs are the primary respiratory organs. In simple words, they are the main organ responsible for breathing and gas exchange. Although they look solid in the diagram, but they actually are spongy because they contain millions of tiny air sacs called the alveoli. Another important feature is that the lungs are elastic. Just like the balloon expands when the air enters and shrinks when the air leaves, the lungs continuously expand and recoil during the breathing. This elasticity helps us to breathe effortlessly throughout the life. And finally, the most important function, gas exchange. Oxygen from the air moves into the blood while the carbon dioxide, a waste gas produced by the body, moves out to be exhaled. Now that we know what lungs are, let's see exactly where they are located inside the body. Lungs are situated inside the thoracic cavity, which is simply the chest cavity. Notice that the lungs lie on the either side of the heart. So, the heart sits in the middle while the right and left lungs occupy most of the chest cavity. Think of lungs as a two bodyguards standing on the either side of the heart. At the bottom, the lungs rest directly above the diaphragm. The structure that you can see here, this is known as the diaphragm, which is the main muscle of breathing. Remember this relationship because whenever the diaphragm contracts and moves downward, the lungs expand. Now, another important point is that lungs are protected by the rib cage. Just like the helmet protects our head, the rib cages protect this delicate organ from the injury. This is why doctors and nurses often assess the chest wall and rib movement while examining a patient's breathing. So remember, it is located in the thoracic cavity, present on either side of the heart, and sits above the diaphragm, protected by the rib cage. Now let's look at how lungs are structured internally. You will notice they aren't just two solid balloons. They are divided into three sections called the lobes, which are separated by deep grooves which are called the fissures. Think of lobes as an independent compartment that allows different part of the lung to function separately, and fissures are the natural borders dividing them. First, look at the right lung. It has three lobes: the superior lobe, middle lobe, and inferior lobe. And these are separated by two fissures, the horizontal fissure and the oblique fissure. Whereas on the other hand, the left lung has only two lobes, the superior lobe and inferior lobe, and it is divided by just one fissure called the oblique fissure. So why is there a difference? What is the indentation here called the cardiac notch? Because your heart sits slightly to the left lung sacrifices a little space to accommodate it. Now that we know how lungs are divided internally, let's move on to their surfaces and borders. Just like a house has different sides facing different directions, each lung also has different surfaces depending on what structure it faces. The first one that we have is costal surface. The word costal means ribs. So this broad convex surface lies against the rib cage. The second one that we have is mediastinal surface. This is the medial surface that faces the center of the heart. This surface also contains the helium, which we will study next. The third one that we have is diaphragmatic surface. This you can remember by its name itself. This forms the base of the lungs and rests directly on the diaphragm. Whenever the diaphragm contracts and moves downwards, this surface allows and helps the lungs to expand. So every lung has three important surfaces, one facing towards the ribs, one facing the heart, and one resting on the diaphragm. Now let's discuss about the borders of lung. Just as the lung has three different surfaces, it also has three different borders, which are the edges where these surfaces meet. The first one we have is anterior border. It is thin and sharp, and it lies in the front of the lung. With the name interior, you can guess that it is front section of the lung, and it overlaps the front of the heart as you can see here. On the left lung, this border is modified as you can see here to form the cardiac notch that we discussed earlier. So simply remember anterior is equal to front side. Second we have is the posterior border. It is thick and rounded, and it lies next to the vertebral column at the back of the chest. So simply remember posterior means at the back or towards the spine side. The third one that we have is inferior border. It is a sharp border that separates the base from the costal and mediastinal surfaces. It follows the curve of the diaphragm. So simply think of inferior as bottom or diaphragm side. Knowing these borders help nurses and doctors to locate different part of the lungs during chest examination, percussion and exhalation. Now let's move on the most important structure on the mediastinal surface, the hilum of the lung. Now, helium is a depression or a gateway which is present on the mediastinal surface on both the lungs. Think of it as a main entrance gate of the hospital, just as doctors, nurses, patients, and supplies all enter and leave through one single gate. Similarly, all the major structures enter and leave the lung through this helium. Through this helium passes the bronchi, blood vessels, nerves, and lymphatic vessels. First we have is the primary bronchus, which brings air into the lungs. Then we have pulmonary artery, which carries deoxygenated blood to the lungs. Next is pulmonary vein, which carries oxygenated blood back to the heart. Then the bronchial arteries, which supply nutrition to lung tissues. Then the nerves, which provide control and sensation. And lastly, we have lymphatics, which help in drainage and immunity. Now let's discuss a structure that is extremely important for normal breathing, the pleura. The pleura is a serous membrane that surrounds the lungs as you can see here. Think of it as a protective covering wrapped around the lung. The pleura is divided into two layers, the visceral pleural layer and the parietal pleural layer. As you can see here, the visceral layer is directly covering the surface of the lung, which means it sticks tightly to the lung and moves whenever the lungs move. The other layer that we have is the parietal layer, which is the outer layer. This lines the inside of the thoracic cavity, which means it is attached to the chest wall, the diaphragm, and the mediastinum. Another important feature is that between these two layers, we have a tiny space called the pleural cavity. So, this space is called the pleural cavity. This contains a small fluid called the pleural fluid. Now, why is this fluid important? Think about rubbing two dry hands together. There is friction. Right, now imagine a soap or oil between them. They glide very smoothly. Similarly, the pleural fluid works in the same way. It reduces the friction and allows the lung to move smoothly during breathing. Without this lubrication, every breath would cause friction and pain during breathing. Thankfully, the pleural layer slides smoothly over each other thousands of times every day. One unique feature of the lung is that they have a dual blood supply. This means that lungs receive blood from two different circulatory systems. The first one that we have is pulmonary circulation. This circulation is responsible for gas exchange. Here, the deoxygenated blood comes from the right ventricle and through the pulmonary arteries, they reach the lung. The arteries branch into tiny capillaries around the alveoli. Here, the carbon dioxide leaves the oxygen and enters the bloodstream. After the gas exchange, oxygenated blood returns to the heart through the pulmonary vein, entering the left atrium. So remember, the pulmonary circulation has the breathing function. On the other hand, we have the bronchial circulation. This system does not participate into any gas exchange. Instead, it provides nutrition to the lung tissues. The bronchial arteries arise from the thoracic aorta and supply the bronchi, bronchioles, blood vessels, and visceral pleura. Just like every organ needs its own blood supply, the lungs also need oxygen and nutrients to stay alive. Before we end today's lecture, let's do a quick revision quiz and see how much you remember. Pause the video and answer all three questions in the comment section below. Let's see how many of you can get all three answers correct. First question we have is, which of the following statement about the lung is correct? So the correct answer is right lung has three lobes and two fissures. Second question is, which of the following structures do not pass through the hilum of the lung? So the correct answer is alveoli. Third question is, which of the following is true about the pleural cavity? The answer is that it contains pleural fluid which reduces the friction. In the next lecture, we will study about the muscles of respiration. And that's all for today. See you in the next lecture. Bye bye.